Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into something I think everyone listening has felt. It's that digital distraction feeling.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the one you open up
No, not at all. We're talking about a huge shift in how we allocate our cognitive time. You hear a lot about shortening attention spans. And, that's debatable, but short-form content is definitely linked to this trend.
The intensity of it seems to be the key.
It is. I mean, think about it. Adolescents are now spending an average of 3 hours a day on these platforms.
3 hours. Wow.
That level of exposure is actively, retraining the brain. It's teaching it to expect a very specific kind of reward over and over again.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Social media isn't new. We've had it for, 20 years?
At least.
So what makes platforms like TikTok and Reels so much better, or I guess worse, at just consuming our time compared to, say, old school MySpace or early Facebook?
I think the biggest difference is how optimized the content loop has become.
The loop?
On older platforms, there was a higher cognitive load. You had to read posts, you had to click on profiles, actively look for things from people you knew.
You had to do the work, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Exactly. But the short-form video apps, they succeed because they deliver maximum stimulation with, and this is key, incredibly low cognitive engagement. You don't choose. The algorithm chooses for you.
So it's that combination of the infinite scroll with this ruthless, hyper-personal feed. It knows what you want to see next before you do.
Precisely. It's offering constant novelty, but in these little bite-sized, fragmented pieces. And that taps directly into the neurobiology that drives some really powerful behavioral addictions.
Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. Researchers often compare it to gambling, right?
They do, frequently.
So how does scrolling on your phone actually mimic pulling the lever on a slot machine? What's the mechanism there?
It's all about the variable reward system, and it's powered by dopamine.
Right.
Every time you open the app or get a notification or swipe to a really funny new video, your brain's reward system gets this little jolt of dopamine. It feels good. But the critical part is the variability.
Yeah, unpredictability.
Exactly. You never know if the next swipe is going to be a dud or that perfect 5-star viral video. That uncertainty is what keeps you swiping. It makes the seeking behavior compulsive.
One of our sources had a great line for it. You never know what will fall out of the cupboard.
That's a perfect way to put it. And the really devastating consequence of that constant high-frequency dopamine surge is that it raises the bar for what your brain finds enjoyable.
It raises this threshold.
Right. So when you finally put the phone down and try to, say, read a book or do some deep work, your brain basically perceives that activity as too slow. It's less colorful, it's less satisfying.
So it starts to crave that fast-paced digital hit instead.
It does. It craves that stronger, quicker stimulus.
So is the solution just to, force ourselves through the boredom? Or is something deeper going on? Let's get into the science. What does the research actually say about the long-term costs here?
Well, the science is showing some really consistent patterns. We've got a lot of research that correlates excessive social media use. And I want to stress, we're talking about the compulsive kind.
Right, the loss of control kind.
Exactly. It correlates with shorter attention spans, with cognitive fatigue, and especially in students, a real difficulty with long-term information retention.
And it seems like sustained focus is the first thing to go.
It absolutely is. There were studies on students that showed that just being in the presence of a technological distractor, like a phone with notifications on,
Just on the table.
their period of sustained focus just plummeted down to, I think it was 6 minutes.
6 minutes, that's nothing.
It's nothing. And what's more, short-form video app addiction was shown to negatively predict academic engagement and positively predict academic anxiety in college students.
So wait, the compulsion to check the app makes you anxious about the work you're not doing, but the app itself is what's stopping you from doing the work. It's like a self-inflicted trap.
That is the definition of the cycle. And what's really fascinating are the neurological findings. Studies have actually shown functional changes in the brain linked to high short-form video addiction.
Okay, like what?
Well, for one, a reduction in theta waves in the frontal lobes.
Okay, hold on. Theta waves, before we lose people, what does that actually mean? Why should I care if my theta waves are reduced?
It's a great question. So theta waves in your frontal lobes are deeply connected to your executive functions. Things like impulse control, planning, basically your ability to pause before you act.
So your brain's stop button.
That's a great way to think of it. If those waves are less effective, it means your capacity to just stop scrolling or to resist that urge to check your phone every 5 minutes, That capacity is weaker, the stop button is worn down.
That perfectly explains that loss of control feeling we've been talking about.
It does, and it gets even more specific. We're
Mhm.
also seeing increased gray matter volume in the orbitofrontal cortex.
And that is the part of the brain for you.
It's heavily involved in reward processing and emotional control. And this increase is interpreted as the brain becoming oversensitive to the app's immediate gratification. Your brain literally starts to filter the world based on getting that quick hit.
Wow. So slow, difficult tasks don't just feel boring. They might actually feel like physically painful to start because that reward circuitry is so prioritized.
It's a plausible interpretation, yeah.
Now, I do think it's important we stress the nuance here. A lot of this research shows correlation, not necessarily direct one-to-one causation, right?
Well, that's a vital point, absolutely. The key issue isn't using TikTok, it's the excessive compulsive use that leads to a genuine loss of control.
So the dose makes the poison.
Precisely. One big meta-analysis found that while addictive use had a significant negative impact on performance, general, controlled use actually had a small, statistically weak positive effect. So it's all about whether it's beneficial or detrimental based on that loss of control.
Okay, that brings us perfectly to a self-check. If the real problem is crossing that line from just using an app to problematic use, how do you know where that line is?
You know, the line is crossed when you move from what we could call controlled pleasure to a loss of control.
Where the costs start to outweigh the benefits.
Exactly. You start looking for the classic signs of a behavioral addiction, things like preoccupation with the app, using it even when you know it's causing problems, and that key phrase again, loss of control.
So let's pose a few direct questions to you, the listener. Just think about your last week.
Yeah, ask yourself this. Do you experience a genuine loss of control over how much time you spend on these apps? Do you keep scrolling even when you know you should stop?
And what about this one? Do you struggle to focus on deep work, on studying, because those normal tasks just feel boring or monotonous now?
And a final one. Do you find yourself frequently distracted by social media during other daily activities, even when your phone's in your pocket? That phantom vibration feeling.
Oh, we all know that feeling. You pick up your phone to just check the time, and 15 minutes later, you're deep into a tutorial on, I don't know, 18th century French wallpaper.
Right.
That's the loss of control we're talking about, isn't it?
Right. It is. And that's the moment you have to start thinking about your digital well-being. You achieve that state when you find the right balance, right? Maximal controlled pleasure, minimal loss of control. And if you're feeling that loss of control, you need strategies to actively rewire those pathways.
Okay, so let's talk solutions. What can we actually do? The sources have some really practical advice, but let's connect it back to what we just talked about. We need to intentionally fight back against this optimization for high novelty and low effort.
Precisely. You're fighting a hyper-optimized opponent, so you need a strategy. And the first step is to train your brain's focus muscle directly.
Like going to the gym for your brain.
Kind of, yeah. This means things like regular meditation or mindfulness practices. These have been shown to actually strengthen the neuronal connections in the exact parts of the brain, those frontal lobes that are responsible for attention. It's strength training for your focus.
Okay, and the second strategy is about killing the myth of multitasking.
Yes. We have to eliminate it, especially scrolling while you're trying to do high-value work. Studies confirm we don't truly multitask. The brain just switches tasks really, really fast.
Which burns energy and leads to mistakes.
And fatigue. So no scrolling while studying. Instead, you use time blocks. Dedicate a specific window to one priority task. This is how you start to achieve a genuine state of flow.
That's a concept we should probably clarify. We hear about the addictive flow state that these apps put you in, that feeling where time just disappears.
Right. The apps give you a cheap, algorithmically generated version of flow. But genuine flow comes from highly concentrated effort on a challenging task.
Ah, I see.
The sources talk about how the system quality of your study habits, the structure you built, the challenge, that contributes more to achieving real flow than the content itself. You have to build a system that can rival the algorithm.
So how do we start building that system? By controlling our environment.
You start small. You introduce boundaries to break that cue and response cycle.
Like screen-free zones?
Exactly. Designate physical areas, the dining table, the bedroom, where the phone just stays in another room. If you eliminate the visual cue, you starve that oversensitive reward circuit of its quick fix. And, critically, avoid screens for at least an hour before you go to sleep.
Because that hurts your sleep, which you need to recover your focus.
absolutely essential for focus recovery.
And what about limiting the content itself, not just where you use the phone, but how much?
Set a realistic daily time limit, say 15 or 20 minutes total for short videos, and then use the app's built-in controls to actually stick to it. It's also really important to shift from being a passive consumer to an active user.
Meaning,
Meaning, if you're going to spend your 15 minutes, use it to pursue a genuine interest. Make sure it's valuable content that helps you develop a passion, not just whatever the algorithm decides to feed you.
my favorite strategy from the material was this idea of turning the short-form content into a reward.
Ah, yes. The shorts as dessert strategy.
Love that name.
It's pure behavioral science. You only allow yourself to consume that short-form video after you've completed a difficult, dedicated block of deep work.
So you're rewiring your own reward schedule.
You are. You're teaching your brain that the intense focus has to come before the high dopamine hit.
Now, this can all sound like a huge change, but the advice is really just to try one small experiment, right?
Yes, exactly.
Like shorts is dessert. Try it for just 7 days.
Yeah.
It's not a permanent life change. It's just a test. You're testing your ability to take back a little bit of control.
Exactly. Test the hypothesis for yourself. Can regaining some conscious control actually make your life feel more productive and maybe paradoxically more enjoyable again?
Which brings us to a really compelling final thought. We focused a lot on the negative, the compulsive side of this. But the internet itself has this enormous positive potential. One survey found that over 88% of people said they use the internet to actively develop their passions and interests, things like learning a new language or coding.
The ability to access high-quality information has never been greater. The difference really is active management and critical thinking. We have to consciously turn the screen from being a demanding master back into being a helpful tool.
So here's the final thought for you to chew on. If these algorithms are so rigorously optimized that they can provide a state of flow so intense that it becomes addictive, doesn't that mean that focusing on improving the system quality of your own work making, deep work more structured, more rewarding, more satisfying, doesn't that become the ultimate form of counter-programming?
I love that. You're building your own algorithm for a better life.
Maybe. Something to think about as you try to build a life where the algorithms serve you and not the other way around.